In this section, I'll give you an outline of how to structure your assignment. This is applicable to all CMI Level 5 assessments, and I'll be using 501 as an example. So the introduction section, which we see here on page 2, directly relates to the module under consideration. This section makes it clear what differentiates the module. If you feel two modules are fairly similar in their contents, examining this section should help you appreciate where the difference lies. Now, if we go after the tasks, we'll see we've got the total word count. So here we go here. And the total word count for this assignment is between 3,500 and 4,000 words, plus or minus 10%. This is very strict, and so if you don't adhere to it, your work could be returned by CMI and it'll be checked through, and once it does adhere to it, then it'll be resubmitted. If you're, as you haven't got, you've got a lot to cover and not a huge number of words, it suggests that you don't include basic descriptions of key concepts and instead directly apply them to your work situation to maximise your word count. So we've got in here, we've got a list of things as well that aren't included in the word count. However, there is sometimes a temptation to try and put in, for example, more charts or graphs or diagrams than actually naturally fit into it to try and minimise your word count. So just be sensible in your approach. Also note, in terms of what's not included, there's no mention of tables. So tables are included in the assessment word count. Right, let's go back up to the task in hand. So if we see the assessment tasks and word count, pages 2 and 3 give an overview of the tasks and the assessment criteria. So we've got there the task, and then we've got the learning outcome and assessment criteria and an approximate word count for that particular task. As I've got using 501, the same principles can be applied to all the assessments. So when you're looking, approaching the assignment, look at the high-level task first. So in this case, we know we're writing a report and we've got the prescriptive title there, the principles of management and leadership within an organisational context. So the learning outcomes, you'd use those to signpost you to the contents in the course to cover and read up against when you're going to be writing the contents for the assignment. And then the assessment criteria break down the tasks. So we know within this one report, we've got 8 assessment criteria that we're meeting. So there's 4 for learning outcome 1 and there's 4 for learning outcome 2. So for task 1, with a 2,800 word count for all 8 assessment criteria, that's approximately 350 words per assessment criteria. So we need to be really succinct on how we're addressing each of these criteria. As a generalisation, most assessment criteria require between 250 and 400 words to address them. They don't have to be equal in length between the assessment criteria, so you might find that one of them, for example, the legal status, may be shorter than the purpose, but at least it gives us a guideline of how many words to be looking at for each one. So what you might do here is to turn each of these assessment criteria into a subheader. So the best way probably to do this is to take off the first word. The first word is an instruction to you as to what to do, but actually for the subheader, we'll call it the impact of legal status on the governance of an organisation. For your purposes, what you might do is use a thesaurus if you don't quite get what examine means, to look for alternative words there. So, for example, examine could mean investigate or consider. So what we can do by going through these 2 pages, for each of the tasks, we can create the subtitle. We create the main title, and then we've got, using the assessment criteria, a number of subheaders for each task and an approximate number of words for each of these subheaders. So what we should be able to do is we should be able to break down the assignment so it's more bite-sized. So we've actually got a skeleton there that we can complete. When it comes to assessment criteria, you'll notice that none of them are used twice. If you feel that you're duplicating some of your content, then it's worth checking the course contents to ensure you've actually addressed the specific criteria, so this one rather than another, because you can't afford to waste words. When it comes to the assessment criteria, so CMI have been kind enough, and even the tasks, to highlight specific words to focus your response on. This means that you can actually more easily search on additional material, so the purpose of a mission and vision statement when you're looking at the CMI website or on Locate. The evidence booklet is where you'll store the work-based applications. So the best way to do this is to apply the relevant theory and models to your organisation to meet the assessment criteria. So in addition to completing this and adhering to the word count, you've got another total of 6 pages that will demonstrate evidence to be included in your evidence booklet.